This is a Sunday update. Unfortunately, we do have to stay in war mode for the foreseeable future. We are dealing with quite a lot of corporate interference. The term I believe that we're starting with is tortious interference. This has happened to several entrepreneurs of color, starting with the African American community. I'm sure the Hispanic community has dealt with it in some way, shape, or form. It's only because of my poor Spanish speaking ability that I don't include the Hispanic community in some of the class action desires that I have. Um, you know, I want to reach out as much as possible to all of you. I'm very grateful for all of your contributions to my life, whether they be from the Mexican environment, the Puerto Rican, the Cuban, of course, the Dominican. I wish you would treat the Haitians a little bit better since you share an island, but that's not really my business. I don't live there. But unfortunately, because of my ambiguous appearance and my leadership responsibilities, my diaspora, my community specifically, encounters a lot of the same cultural issues that the Puerto Rican, Cuban, and Dominican diasporas in America deal with, without any of the relevant hip hop cultural inclusion due to our conservative background and our kind of Eastern upbringing. So I kind of sit at the nexus of the Asian community and the Spanish and I suppose we'll call it multiracial community. Uh, and God gave me a hair texture that just won't quit. So I had to fill in the gaps with merit. So hero is part of the shield that I use for that, and the alpha logo is not only intended to respect the career of my father and mother in the academic world, but to remind our boys that we don't need to be descendants of chattel slavery to recognize the fullness of our manhood and our patriarchy and our leadership. Okay, we're dealing with some very painful issues from the past, and the people that are responsible for those crimes against humanity are doing everything in their power to make sure that they don't deal with the same level of accountability that they've required from us all this time. Okay, so there's a lot of gaslighting that's involved, a lot of tortious interference. Okay, um, I want to express my love and appreciation for GN Bank. They have decided that our banking relationship is not possible at the moment due to there's no reason given, but I had a personal account established and was in the compliance um, uh, recommendations for opening up the business account as requested. I wanted to have both available, but possibly due to some previous check system issues, private company that determines your viability as a business bank account candidate. I believe they use a program called Check Systems, which is a privately owned company, not a federally um, overseen company. To black founders and Spanish-speaking founders, I am cautiously taking on the role of war priest for the Indian American diaspora. Uh, when you choose not to live in the house, you are relegated to the field, and well, I don't have the history in the field that some of you may. But I can give you collateral, and the culture knows that I speak from my heart, and the women that I love know that I speak from my heart. So today, I want to give you the gift of an exercise that a mentor of mine gave me. This is something that was designed in early COVID when we were working in the gyms trying to figure out how to overcome that obstacle. And I was really frustrated with my kind of plateauing progress. Um, and what happens to me is, and those of you that are, great debaters of your own, Antoine Fishers or whatever, you will also be um, familiar with this. They will give you handlers that will, allow you to have your SNAP benefits, but they won't allow you to, buy your own groceries or anything like that. As frustrating as my mother's nagging can be sometimes, and my father's disciplinary tactics also, there is one common thread in our family that reigns supreme. Your spiritual clarity must be the highest priority for you. We all would love to live in a neighborhood of our own peers where we all collectively have the economic viability that we want, where we can go to work, doing the thing that we love, get paid for it, and then come home and socialize in the demographic of our choice where we feel the most welcome and where we can contribute as well as receive. And that's something I want as well. And when things worked well in Dallas and even here in Chicago sometimes, very rarely, but sometimes, um, that was the situation. But where I have to depart from the culture is, you know, the Jews are not my God. Whether Ashkenazi, Sephardic, or any of the other, um, I haven't met any Falasha Jews from Ethiopia. And I don't see the Ethiopian Jews very well respected by Benjamin Netanyahu. So, you know, the Ethiopian community is my family, and I will defend your honor whenever possible, whenever I'm allowed to do that. From the priests onwards, Kerala stands with you as far as I'm concerned. And if you encounter any resistance from Kerala or the Kerala American diaspora, you let me know, and I'll handle it personally. Eritrea, thank you very much for your contribution to my life. All of East Africa, Somalia, Kenya, everybody. Nigeria, of course, was home to my uncle during the Biafra conflict. And he didn't tell me any direct stories. He's passed away now. But I know that was a difficult time. So, children, when we go through these conflicts, it's very important that we remember the history of those who have gone before us. So, I make some jollof rice jokes here and there, but there's no question of my loyalty and love to the African diaspora. And if I could, I'd end these issues today itself. But we are all subject to the elements, and I know that Larry Hoover is going through very similar situations. Larry Hoover Jr. has been asking for the release of his father for many, many years. I fully support that. I don't think that you should have both Larry Hoover and myself in confinement. I'm happy to take his place in that cell if necessary. Certainly, we are moving in that direction. The old man needs to be released and brought home to his grandchildren. Okay. The only reason that there is any level of peace in Chicago is because of his growth and development efforts. And so I stand firmly on the side of justice when it comes to that. The fact remains is these so-called gang and neighborhood wars are Jewish plants. They're just Jewish devilish operations. Tommy Mottola style things and Leor Cohen style things. And if you, Ian Schwartzman, if you were a decent human being, people would welcome you on their platforms and you wouldn't have to force your way onto their platforms. But the fact remains is you're a leech of black culture. Leor Cohen, you're a leech of black culture. All of you Jewish agents that use the legal system to destroy the lives of your clients that you just call talent as if they're cattle. You should be ashamed of yourself. And you talk about your red heifer. There will be a red heifer soon, and there will be a sacrifice soon, and there will be no knife in my hand. My hands will be open, and they will be lifted to the Lord, because we do not look to you for our assistance. We look to the Lord for our assistance. Um, I'll close with this. When you are in a kind of a pit of despair and you're concerned about what the next step is, it's always been helpful to me to do a little bit of an assessment. You can do an audit of yourself. I know we all want to audit the Jews for everything they've stolen, and the reparations platform is going to um, be built in such a way to funnel all that data into one source. And we will, consult with Claude Anderson or whoever, whichever academic is most qualified to help, and we will get it done. Okay, but for me, because I recognized the pinnacle of athletic performance would be tip of the spear for my diaspora. That's why I've been so dedicated in the world of track and field. So the goldsmith is a very personal thing to me. Okay, in the Bible, there's a reference to Alexander the coppersmith that did much harm to the Apostle Paul, and some people have used that to mock my very existence, when their careers are in fact built on my very existence and the pain and tears of my mother and father. So the Hero Olympus Goldsmith competition spike is my response to them, and the Hero Olympus Presidential is my response to them. When you think about yourself, whether you're Asian or African or Middle Eastern or South American or any of the Latinx community, forgive me for any labeling misjudgments. Your culture has a sphere of excellence where it's pretty dominant. It's good to learn that sphere of excellence. For example, in the Indian American community, we are strong in the areas of academics and medicine and things of the tight-knit, arranged family structure. So those are very good pillars of society. But we have weaknesses. We have weaknesses in our colorism. We have weaknesses in our cuisine. We have weaknesses in our attention to detail when it comes to appearance and hygiene. And those are things that are very important to me to address, because our second generation diaspora does not have the tether to our parents' homeland. This is our homeland as far as we're concerned. And so our responsibility is to contribute to the war against the discrimination by the Jewish American community specifically. Because white and Jewish people did not own this place before. And they don't own it now. Legalese is not scripture. Now, whether we live in maritime law or whatever, give to Caesar what is Caesar's and give to God what is God's. I told you about the 80% rule, 80-20. Do 80% of everything you can do in your own power. And then 20% needs to be left for the Lord to operate. Because if we all allow the Lord to operate in 20% of our lives, He can collectively spread His manna on all of us equally. So it's my job as war priest to retain these boundaries for the people of God. I won't go into the specifics of my list, but I can tell you that there are 19 categories that I have that I made in 2020. And each of those 19 categories has at least 2 or 3 sub-bullet points. And each of the categories of my life, I give you some examples: spiritual clarity, mental understanding, physical improvement, diet, hydration, recovery, etc. Okay, so all the, like, think about a certified used vehicle. They go through a 100-point inspection, right? You need to go through a similar 100-point inspection on your own soul, your own spirit, and all the things that are important to you. You need to categorize them and then make sub bullet points on each one of those things that are important to you. And think about where you want to be in 5, 10, 20, 30, deathbed. Okay? Who do you want to be? What do you want to represent at that time? What do you want to have built at that time? Who would you want to have collaborated with by that time? Okay? Work from the end of your life when you're ready to meet the Lord and work backwards to this very moment. Okay? There's a parable in the Bible that says, a man went out multiple times throughout the day looking for laborers for his vineyard. Some people started at the beginning of the day, some people at lunchtime, some people in the early evening, and finally some people at the 11th hour, right before the time was over for work. And then everyone got paid the same wage at the end of the day. Okay? Now, for me, I always thought that was kind of unfair, because the people that started at the beginning of the day shouldn't get paid the same as the people that started at the 11th hour. But the parable is, it's the master's decision how he pays reparations and how he pays the people that work in his vineyard. Okay? So even if I may have gotten a head start on you with some of this stuff, that does not mean the Lord cannot reward you to the same degree that's important to you and that resonates with you. Remember, I did not create you, the Lord did. So he knows exactly what reward would compensate you the most. Okay? So treat this exercise as a kind of internal tithe. Okay? Rather than giving money to a Drewski or any such megachurch pastor, give a tithe to the Lord directly with the best of your thought process. Okay? Do this exercise. Organize your life, organize your goals until the end of your life. Okay? I will be in war mode waiting for you. And, hopefully this reveals some things, maybe a gap analysis in your own life where you can improve a little bit, and the Lord can help you cover those gaps. Okay? Ladies, if you've been a whore, yeah, you did that. Okay? Gentlemen, if you've been a felon before, you did that. But that does not mean the Lord cannot use you going forward. However, just as a felon has to go above and beyond at a second chance program to prove that they are in fact ready to re-enter society as a productive citizen, if you gave your body to everyone before and now you're married, now is not the time to preach. Your job is not to preach now. If you were a virgin when you got married, you are more than welcome to preach, because you did the job that the Lord asked you to do, and you honored the office of your husband, and you honored the hierarchy spiritually. But if you didn't, it's better to wash the feet of Jesus with your alabaster box, with your hair. Okay? We need to be honest about who we are. So, Claudia Jordan, why don't you spread the word? Okay, those of you that are 50, 40, 35 plus with more bodies than you have years, it's time to start silently washing the feet of the men in your life, because nobody wants to hear your preaching anymore. The time for preaching was when you were at your peak fertility, and we saw what you preached about at that time. So I'll handle the preaching going forward. Okay? I love you. So that is where we're going to stop for today. I need to continue my business. And as I said before, Africa, you're in my heart. India, you're in my heart. And Chicago, of course, we're going to do the best we can.